You are now entering the box. Welcome back to Inside the Box here with Nick and John. Welcome.
Thanks
for having us, man.
Nick and John, you guys want to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, who you're with?
Sure, yeah, I can go first. Nick Gentile with Heartland Bank and Trust. I'm a commercial lender, so lend money to business owners here in Springfield.
Same, John DeFreitas, Heartland Bank and Trust, commercial lender.
Now, you guys were previously with Town and Country, right?
Yep.
And Heartland just bought them, merged?
Yep. So February 1st, the transaction went through, and we still got a little bit of merger process going on, but we're officially Heartland Bank now.
Nice.
Yeah, you'll see both logos quite a bit, but officially.
During the kind of switch over. Yeah. Yep. Nice. Long drawn out switch over.
Yeah,
get used to it. Yeah. I mean, I understand from a
Yeah.
branding standpoint, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at? What like location or?
We're on MacArthur, so all of our commercial lenders are on MacArthur.
At the old town and country place?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we kind of flip flop back and forth a little bit between our Wabash location. So we don't know where our future home office is going to be full time, but for right now we're still in MacArthur.
Nice. How long have you guys been doing this?
I've been doing it. I've been in banking for about 9 years. I've been lending money to businesses as a commercial lender for about 3 now.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been in banking 23 years and been commercial lender for a couple years, and then just worked in various.
23 years. How old are you?
I started when I was 18. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's cool though.
Yeah. John's done it all too. John was my boss for a little while. A lot of people don't know that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
running through the all the different areas. That's good though, man. That sets you up for, when you know all the different parts of the banking. I mean, sets you up for a long term, hopefully future growth.
Yeah.
Where'd you go? Did you go to school? Did you go to college or anything?
Yeah. So I grew up around here. Went to Rochester High School and then went to Lincolnland after that, and then moved to Champaign for a few years. Finished my schooling out there, and then in Indiana for part of it. But yeah, I grew up here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds like you just jumped right into the work world.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of time at Lincolnland, and then through my banking career, all sorts of training, but the biggest was probably University of Wisconsin. Did the banking school up there. It's a 3-year program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which that's like the mecca for banking education. It's
really Wisconsin.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
Graduate School of Banking.
It's a big deal. Something I hope I get to do at some point.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did they send you up there?
Yeah, so it's 3-year program. You go up there 2 years at a time, and then there's some projects that you do in between, and then there's the capstone project, which is kind of a bank simulator where you run a bank for a couple weeks
Really?
and fail miserably, and then you graduate.
Wow, that's interesting. Simulator. We did some marketing simulator stuff at Western. It was kind of weird. I don't know where they were. I don't know if they were actually plugging it into something or if the teacher was just telling us who's doing better or what. But yeah, it was like we had to start a business with a group of people, and then we would choose the different areas to spend money, like R&D, these different things. And then it would basically give you a rating, and then every week you would adjust that stuff. And then we had to actually create marketing material and stuff, but we won.
Did you? Nice. That's awesome.
Not to toot my own horn, but it was fun.
Now you're doing it in real life.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It was it's honestly exactly what I do with this business. It was we had a product, and you don't pick. How did that work? Maybe I'm mixing up two different things. Maybe I'm thinking of there was a business simulator, and then there was a separate marketing thing we did at a different time. But anyway, I guess it was a business simulator, because there was spending money on marketing, on R&D, right. All these different things, and it was and then you have your, what was it, your markup or something? I don't remember. But anyway, it was basically what I did here was almost giving stuff away at first for free or hardly anything, and then as you grow and you get
Right.
known, then you can start, raising prices and getting paid for what you're doing.
You just knew you were going to start your own business, so you think of them as the same simulations, I guess.
I mean, I didn't know, honestly. I mean, I guess I'd always had like an entrepreneurial spirit, I guess. I was always working like 4 or 5 jobs, and a lot of them were like independent type stuff, but I didn't really know. Well, I worked at Ace Sign Company for 6 years right out of college.
Cool.
So you jumped right into bank. Have you always been at with Town and Country?
No,
now?
I started at Illini Bank, which is no more. But I worked there for about 5 years. Then I went over to a bigger bank, National City, which is no more. They got bought out by PNC, obviously. So did a little bit of time there as a licensed banker. And then after that, did some time in door-to-door sales for Comcast. So I left banking in around 2008.
A little hiatus.
There was, banking had, the economy
2008,
crash. Yeah. So it wasn't fun anymore. People were upset with National City because they, got bought out and everything. So I left, did some door-to-door sales, and then did that for a few years, had a lot of fun, and then went to Busey Bank for a short stint as a branch manager in Mount Zion, Illinois.
Busey Bank.
Yeah.
So just a small bank?
No, they're
owned by Gary Busey?
Yeah. No,
It's the first question they always get.
Yeah, no. Actually, Busey's a very big bank. Big Illinois primarily.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. They're not in Springfield at all.
Yeah,
But,
headquartered in Champaign. Big presence in Chicago, too.
Nice.
Yeah, so I did a small stint there, and then some friends of mine at Town and Country called me up and said, hey, you should come over here. We have a branch manager job. So I went to the Dirksen location here in Springfield and managed that for about 5 years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How does that work? So you do commercial lending. Obviously, you want to like get in with businesses and meet other business owners and do that stuff. Does the bank give you like pretty good freedom to go out and do that, or how do they like allow you to allocate stuff? Like I don't know, just handle that.
Yeah, for the most part, you kind of figure out what what we call the credit culture is, kind of the businesses that they're looking for. You kind of figure out what the appetite is for different industries and things like that. So you kind of have a roadmap, I guess you could say, a playbook of what types of businesses to go after. And then from there, you can kind of, you're autonomous for the most part on how you approach those prospecting.
Is it in a way like partially a sales
Oh,
position?
yeah.
Oh,
then?
yeah.
Okay.
We definitely consider ourselves in sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wasn't 100% sure about.
Yeah, it's a little weird because you're selling debt essentially. So it's not like you're selling a widget. It's a little bit different.
But you're selling something that businesses need. Typically.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least most.
Right.
Not very many people are starting with no loan or no help somewhere there.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting because it's like you probably are. I mean, it seems like in the commercial, lending industry, it would be like really growing long-term relationships, assuming you're, taking care of them.
Right.
Yeah, so we always say that we're really selling ourselves, not the bank. You know what I mean? Because you have to trust who you're dealing with. If you don't like your banker, you're not going to go back to him for the next thing. So it's all about relationships. That's the biggest thing. So even when you're prospecting, a lot of times we just try and get to know people first, right? We try and spend some time with them, see them at events or whatever it might be, and just get to know them before you start like, hey, you need some money.
Come on their podcast.
Yeah, we have a really long sales cycle, so you really do have to get to know people. And like John said, most business owners bank with bankers, not banks.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way to sum it up.
Yeah, I could see that because, you don't typically take out like a loan like all the time. So I could see that sales process. You just need to stay top of mind. So what's been what's like the biggest, what do I want to say? Like what's the biggest hurdle you run into there? Just that long sales cycle or?
Yeah, you have to be seen as a trusted advisor to somebody, right? Because so with a startup business, that's a little bit easier because they're relying on you to tell them how things work. With a business owner who's established or like a big company here in Springfield, you're not going to walk into Bunn or Brandt and say, hey, give me a shot,
Right.
so
I'm going to tell you how this works.
exactly. So the challenge is, becoming that trusted advisor. Why would I bank with this guy? There's 50 other banks in town, So I think that's probably the biggest challenge, getting to know the people and becoming that trusted advisor to them.
Okay. What all, I know members of the chamber, what other stuff you guys, I'm trying to think of where else see Silsa? You guys are Silsa members, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're learning a little bit more about that. We've met with Michael a couple of times, trying to be more involved with Silsa this year, because I don't know if in the past if we were super involved, but definitely want to start going to more events. Seems like a good group over there.
Yeah, I love Silsa. It's a great group. I think everybody could get a lot out of it. You know what I mean? I know it's a Central Illinois Customer Service Association, but
yeah,
I feel like I get more out of it than just like customer service based stuff.
Right.
Between what the like some of the speakers they have, it's funny. I listen to him and I'm like, this is a brilliant speech because he could just spin this to anything. He could spin it to. He just changes. If the guy just changes a couple words, it could apply to sales.
Yeah.
It could apply to so many different things. It's interesting. Have you guys been to many of the events? I know I've seen.
I haven't been to one yet. Yeah,
I haven't either.
Haven't? Oh.
See, it was kind of geared to our branch managers before. And so then Michael, I think, was the one that was like, well, you guys should be there,
Yeah.
So we're definitely planning on.
You coming to the March 10th one coming up?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Should be a good kickoff event.
Excited about that. So lots of stuff with the chamber, in the other chambers too, Chatham Chamber and Jacksonville Chamber. So try to get out there and meet people, and that's part of what John said. That's part of getting over the biggest hurdle. Just meeting people in a non-sales pitch situation goes a long way. Just being a friendly face around town. Letting them know that you're invested in the community as much as you are, I think goes a long way.
I'll tell you what, that's what I've mostly done. I've been pretty fortunate with this business that haven't really done in a lot of outside sales at all. It's mostly just either word of mouth, people calling us, or like me just being out places and building that rapport with people, probably on a similar level.
Yeah.
And we did a podcast yesterday, and it was kind of interesting. I never really thought about it, but at Springfield is kind of a unique situation because it's like big enough where there's a lot of businesses, but it's small enough to where like being at these chamber events, like doing this networking stuff is very important. And what's the word I'm looking for? Like I don't want to say convenient, but it's like, like say you were in Chicago. What are you going to, the Chicago Chamber of Commerce, and there's like 1,000 people.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's enough to where you could like go around and talk to everybody at a chamber event or something.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, I moved back to Springfield from Indianapolis, and I remember and Indianapolis is nothing compared to Chicago in terms of size. Right?
Yeah.
It's much smaller, but my first Indy Chamber event, it was like, whoa. Like imagine the gala. Like maybe half the size of the annual gala that the chamber puts on. That's just like a normal event.
Wow.
I've never
gone to the gala.
It's very overwhelming if that was the only.
Like 500 people? Or?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it can be. And, that's probably not every single event, but the couple that I went to, it was like, man, this is overwhelming. So if somebody not being from there, trying to go, meet some people was very daunting. Whereas here, I think if one of us had just moved here, and if you had just moved here and I brought you to the Springfield Chamber, I could introduce you to a lot of people really quickly. Mm-hmm. So you're right. I mean, that's nice. It's nice to have.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Yeah,
so convenient might be. Yeah, convenience is a good word for it.
Something like that. A little easier maybe to talk to everybody.
Definitely.
Make your way around in an hour.
Yeah. I think it makes it feel more meaningful if you can actually make connections that, with people in the community, walk around and meet those people and then see them again and keep building on those relationships. I think that makes a huge difference. I always try to grab people that are new or maybe just visiting on the off chance and say, hey, who here do you want to meet? Do you want to meet business owners? Like, who do you want to be in front of and try and introduce them to different ones? So,
I remember when I first started the business and joined the chamber, I was like, went to my first event. I'm like, man, I don't know anybody here. You know what I mean? It's super awkward.
Yeah.
And I'm a very, extrovert, so it's not hard for me to talk to people or start whatever, spark up a conversation. But I could definitely see for a new business owner starting how intimidating, or even someone in your guys' position or whatever,
right.
someone trying to go to an event and not know anybody. That's like an intimidating thing. There should be like a process or something there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone, like if a new member joins, there should be like somebody assigned to them to like take them under their wing or something.
Ambassadors, I think, is designed.
They're supposed to do that?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I know. We have the RISE Springfield, the Young Professionals arm of the chamber.
Part of that?
Yeah. And we don't really have an exact structure for how you go about introducing people to other people in the group, but we've kind of decided as a board, as a committee of people that are the leadership of that group, that we're just going to take, that on ourselves to try to figure that out. So I know at our first event, a lot of the committee members were doing exactly that, trying to pick out people that they hadn't seen or find out if
I think that'd be a good idea. Like assign somebody as like their buddy or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, it's even more prominent with young people, because the first RISE event, you get there and you have a lot of young people who have probably never been to any sort of networking event. Mm-hmm. And so, and none of them. It
was packed.
Oh, it was packed. Yeah.
It was.
And it was hard to talk. It was a little loud. But that was a good thing because people were excited about it and everything. But you definitely saw a lot of people just standing there, not knowing what to do. So it's like grabbing them, bringing them over to a group, introducing them,
Yeah, well, that's good. You take the initiative to do that. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've tried to do that when I've seen people too.
Yeah, it's easy to do it yourself.
Keep that in mind a little bit more
next
time.
Right. Yeah,
I feel like I have, but at the same time, I'm like, have I?
Yeah, it's easier to do it yourself, but if it's a top-down approach, and there's an actual plan for that situation that goes.
So are you say you're on the board for RISE or?
Yeah, it's a committee, so it's actually.
I know Tay was in here, Taylor, and
she's on the committee too.
Yeah, she was telling us. Yeah,
there's 7 of us total. And we kind of all have different roles. Some people are there to recruit new members. Some people are Taylor helps with some of our marketing stuff, and we've got people that help plan events. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's been great so far. We're only 1 event in. So
I was gonna say your next event's coming up.
2 weeks.
We looked it up last time. She couldn't remember.
Yeah, so March 15th.
There you go, March 15th.
Yeah, we actually just had a meeting yesterday.
Did you guys figure out where at?
So it's at Papo's.
She said it was Papo's. That's right.
I think it's still going to be there. So like he kind of mentioned, our first event, we
was that many people.
Yeah, we expected 30. We were hoping 30 people would show up to our first event. So when we had 150 plus, we were like, oh, okay, well, kind of. That's
what I said to her. I was about to offer to do one here, but I don't know if I want 150 people walking around.
Yeah. And I think we've chalked it up as, hey, that was our kickoff, our launch event, right? So that's why so many people were there. We also had a huge lead up time.
Did you guys get a lot of people joining? Like do you have to? You could come, I assume, to that and not actually be like a member.
Yeah. So we kind of have an entry period set up for the first 6 months or so, where it's free for everybody and you don't have to be a member, and then eventually it will become the same membership structure as the chamber events are now, where there's a price for non-members and a price for members.
I kind of asked her that. I was like, so if I'm a member of the chamber, am I a member of RISE?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just another event type, if you want to look at it that way. It's another calendar event type. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Should be a lot of fun
to do it.
Yeah. For me, it is something that came out of moving to a much bigger city and not knowing anybody, and I got plugged in with a group that was very similar, not tied to a chamber. It was tied to a fundraising effort for a children's hospital, but same exact concept. It was for people that were in their 20s and 30s, basically, that just were in business and wanted to meet other people while doing some good in the meantime. So when I got back here and realized we didn't have one, it just seemed odd. Springfield's a big enough city. They've got one in Bloomington. They've got one in Champaign. Why didn't Springfield have one? So that's kind of where the conversation started, and a year later it's here, so it's pretty cool. It's exciting.
Well, you guys had a good jumping off point to kind of extend off of the chamber.
Yeah, now we got to focus on sustainability and keeping the momentum going for sure.
Yeah, I talked a while back. I talked about like starting something along those lines, but I was just like, I don't have enough time to organize. I think that was just so much to plan the events and do it all.
It really is. I think if we didn't have such a fantastic group of people that we kind of piecemealed together a little bit, one person would say, hey, I think this person would be great for the committee. And then that happened a few more times. And all of a sudden we had this fantastic group of people who were really passionate about it and work, pretty diligently on making sure that everything goes smoothly. So I was very, very nervous. Yeah. I because I've got a real job too, right? So I didn't want that to become something that I was doing.
Yeah. You guys have any kids?
One.
Yeah. 2 boys.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, having kids, man, trying to work and network and do all that stuff, it's exhausting.
Yeah, I had my daughter halfway through the process, so she's 6 months old now. We started about a year ago. Thank you. So that was a moment where I was like, man, do I have enough time for this now?
Yeah.
And, kind of figured it out, but it was definitely a struggle.
Yeah, I always say, I'm like, I don't know how people start a business when they when they have kids, because I look at first 3 years of this place, just how I was working weekends, nights, like nonstop, you know what I mean, and not really making much money, because I just kept reinvesting in the business, and I would not have had a relationship with my kids for that whole period. If I wanted to grow the business, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's one of those things you kind of got to pick what you're doing, but made it through, got it done, most of it done, I guess, before coming along with the children.
There you go.
How old are your kids?
13 and 16.
Nice. Well, yours are a little past that. I got 3 and under, so I've got the hectic stage going on.
It's just
for
different
me,
always, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you don't have to take care of them as much, but there's always things popping up.
Don't got to wipe their asses.
Yeah, you're right.
Hopefully not.
So you guys started your own podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's it called?
The Center of Inlfuence podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And how long you been doing it?
I think we did our first one in November last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you just do it at one of your houses or at work, or does work
from our offices?
Mm-hmm.
They don't with the merger and stuff, they don't mind it? Is there any kind of weird?
They haven't said anything. The only thing we've gotten from them is, hey, I heard you guys got a podcast, or they've seen it on LinkedIn, but nobody said anything yet. Yeah, we just kind of, so our goal is to have one podcast a month. We just wanted to not inundate ourselves, but also have some regular content. And then in between those, we just go ahead and advertise that podcast for that period of time in between the podcasts. We try to record a few ahead of time and then have some that we can just keep launching as we go. Right now we're just doing everything on Zoom. We'd like to have a setup like this, but it's kind of difficult. We had one guy from Florida already on there, so that was kind of cool that he was from a different perspective, but we couldn't have done that without Zoom.
Yeah.
So
how did it go doing it over Zoom? How'd you feel about it?
Yeah, there's challenges with it. It's good. It's kind of hard. Do we do the switch back and forth on the screens, or do we do all 3 at a time? Sound quality, different people. We had one guy that was on his cell phone in his pickup truck. He's a construction worker, so what did you expect,
Yeah. And
then we've had, people with, they do so many Zoom calls and things that they have like a semi-professional rig. So that part varies. Video quality, sound quality, you can control all that in an environment like this. Yeah. But so that's a big challenge on Zoom.
How about the talking, the conversation?
Yeah, that's where I struggle for sure.
Because there's that lag, and you start to say something, but they're starting to say something. You're like, all right, go ahead, you go.
And that part doesn't necessarily bother me as much. I guess I just enjoy in-person conversation more. I think everybody does. That's kind of a cliche thing to say, but it for example, this situation we're in right here, sitting in front of you, is a lot more natural to me than on Zoom. And I'm still not 100% used to it.
Way more natural.
Yeah, we're how many episodes are we in now?
We've shot 6 and we have 4 released.
Nice. So 6 episodes in, and it's still not nearly as fluid. But like John said, I think we're exploring the idea of doing some of them in person. We've got to do some equipment upgrades and things that will cost some money, but that's something I think we plan to do here in the near future.
Well, it's great to do, as long as you enjoy it.
Right.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, don't do it just because you're trying to figure out a way to make content. Like, do it because you want to do it. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful.
Right.
You know what I mean? Do it because you want to have that conversation. And when people try to have like, structured questions and like all this stuff, I'm like, man, just have a conversation. I guarantee you it's going to go that much better. Yeah. Like I was doing something yesterday and I had structured questions and I was like, oh my God, I hate this.
Yeah.
Like I just want to talk.
Yeah, we have different theories on that. John likes structure a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, it's not that I like, we kind of talked even before today, but we didn't write anything down. We just said like, what are the points? Yeah, what do we want to talk about when we're on there? Like what's the purpose of this, right? So what are the areas that we want to focus on? And that's what we do with before we talk to a podcast, a person that's on our podcast. We talk about what do they do,
right? What
do we want to learn from them? Some people are stronger on social media, so let's talk about their social media presence or whatever that might be. So but we don't necessarily write anything down. Now sometimes during the interview I'll jot something down that I want to get back to, because I'll forget, you know what I mean? I want to circle back to that question later on. But I try not to.
Which is something you can do on Zoom. It's a little bit harder if you had a notebook in front of you here. But you
just got to wait. In our situation, you just got to wait till the other person's talking. Yeah. And it's like, all right, camera's not on me. Here we go.
Right.
No, sometimes I've taken talking points sometimes, but very rarely. I like to just get in there and kind of let the conversation flow. Because, I mean, really, if you have the time to do it, like an hour, what these usually end up being, it seems like you really get to the points. At least I have for the most part. And then usually I'm like, is there anything else you guys wanted to hit on today? And sometimes stuff will come out, but typically, like, we just get there. And I don't know if it's just the pure, like, me interested talking or the people bringing it up or what, but it seems like it usually works out.
Definitely personal preference. I noticed that I am I miss way more when I structure it, just because I feel like I've got to stick to the even if I have a speech or something, if I write a script out, it's never as good as it probably could be.
It probably definitely depends on the person too, I guess.
Yeah.
If you can have that kind of conversation and let it lead it where you want it to go.
Right.
Well, that's like someone wanted to be on here with me one time to talk to another person, kind of like a co-host, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. Just because it's like an hour, it seems like a long time, but it's really not. Like how long in are we right now?
28 minutes.
Yeah, 28 minutes have already gone by, and it's like, if
crazy.
I don't have the time to, have a conversation, think about what they're saying, and kind of get out of it what I want to hear, or the stuff that I want to hear, that I'm interested in talking about there, then they might take it on a different direction or something, where it's like, all right, like, let's circle this back to where we were at.
Yeah.
So it's how do you guys feel about like co-hosting it? Is it ever like feel awkward?
It does at times. Yeah,
sometimes I don't have a question, or if we both don't have a question at the same time, we're like,
right.
So how's the weather out there?
Yeah, no, it goes pretty smooth so far, or we talk over each other a little bit, but I always just try to definitely yield to who we're having on the show. But and we went back and forth quite a bit about how long to spend. We settled on around 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good frame.
Just because we felt like an hour could be too long. We didn't want to get to that point where we're just like, and we hadn't done it yet, right? So 30 minutes actually feels really short sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's felt...
Depends on the guest, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's felt long.
And I don't think we never really set a time. I think we just did the first one, and I was like, I don't know how long it's going to be. And it ended about an hour, and then every time we talk, like we have somebody on, it seems like we usually kind of have a good conversation within that hour period. And, like Joe Rogan, man, his shit goes for like 3 hours. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess if I was talking to the right person, I guess I could sit there and talk for 3 hours. But we're definitely going off on some tangents at that point about random stuff.
Yeah. You would definitely have to have the quality of guests that he's got. You know, he's getting the best and brightest people that are out there for the most part. You're getting local commercial bankers. So
Yeah.
Hey, this is the best.
Nobody wants to hear us talk about.
This is the best and brightest of Springfield, baby. This is where we are.
we like to think so,
Yeah.
but not everyone else might.
No, I mean, it's actually surprising the people that are on that reach out afterwards and they're like, yeah, such and such watched it and they loved it, and it's you know what I mean, just people they wouldn't think were going to listen, or their family or friends or whatever, and they're like, you know, they tell them like, oh, I learned so much about you, I didn't even know I'm your best friend or whatever. So it's pretty neat, man. It's kind of cool just hearing, you know, people's stories, what's going on, meeting more people around the area. And really what we're going to start doing, which has been hard to just from a time standpoint of having somebody that has the time to do it, but we're going to start chopping these apart, you know what I mean, and making 30-second minute clips to use for content, which is the best thing. If you're filming, if you're doing an hour one, like, you should also be doing that, because people you need something to hook people, and they're not getting, you know, someone that's never listened to it or doesn't want to spend an hour. Like, if your best conversations at 30 minutes in, like, they're never getting to that point.
Yeah.
Nope, you're right.
Yeah, we've been toying around with that a lot too. We do 30-second to 1 minute clips in between our episodes, like I mentioned, that kind of promote our episode, but kind of trying to find those vital questions that were answered and having that clip answer that. I think we've gotten more views from those. So it's kind of like,
that's just natural though. But the ones that are going to be better views, even though they're less, are probably going to be the ones that watch the whole thing.
Yeah. So we go back and forth on that. It's because at some points it feels like the goal of the podcast is not to have views. It's just to have great conversations. And then at some points it seems like, you know, maybe we should chase views a little bit more. So we go back and forth on that. Also, it's very nice of you to say that we work on that. I don't help him. Yeah, he's the podcast engineer. I mean, I do not help with that, so I appreciate you trying to rope me in, but he gets all the credit. He does a great job.
That's cool though.
Yeah,
I could see definitely like the co-host side of things of like helping with the conversation. You know what I mean? I could definitely see that. You guys what podcasts you guys watch? Do you have any that you're?
Mine are all sports related.
You failed the question.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mine are all sports related and specific to my team. So very, very niche podcasts for me.
What are your teams?
All Chicago teams.
Yeah.
So Bears, Blackhawks, White Sox.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brian's a Cubby over here.
That's cool. My wife's a Cubs fan. So.
Yeah. Nice.
Split
so
household.
It's just kind of breaking them down, like talking about games, stuff like that.
Yeah, the detailed stuff. You know, if you get tired of
Ryan
watching.
used to do one.
Really? Okay.
Him and his buddy did one for a while.
On the Cubs? For covering
they just
the Cubs?
did it on everything.
That's awesome.
Random sports.
That's awesome.
It was pretty good. And then they just, you know, it's one of those things. How about yourself? You got any that you listen to regularly?
Yeah, so I drive from Jacksonville every day. We live in Jacksonville, and so
definitely
not every day,
have
but
something, I bet. Then.
Yeah. So I could try to mix it up a little. 0 of them are sports podcasts, but I'll listen to either something like sales oriented or like Bigger Pockets is a big one.
That's a great one.
Something with. There's a commercial real estate podcast that I follow.
Cool.
But then, you know, entertainment, there's some comedians that I listen to or news that I listen to, just kind of mix it up, things like that. But, yeah.
Just so you know, you both failed. The answer is supposed to be Inside the Box podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
I primarily watch your podcast instead of listen to it. Just
that's why I
pick it up from LinkedIn.
Yeah. And that's why I like Spotify, because you can now watch it or listen.
Right.
So like, you know,
Spotify's
like Rogan,
great.
for example, his are so long. Like I would like just watch them on YouTube because I liked watching them.
Yeah.
So I just watched like snippets of it, you know, when I could. But it took me forever to finish one. But now like I could listen in the car driving here, and then when I get home, I could throw it on the TV or whatever. I like that transition there that they have now. It's nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if our Spotify is showing up as video or not.
I think it is.
You have
Is
to
it?
get approved. I know that.
Okay.
It's not like we got it early. I don't, unless they're just automatically doing it for everybody now.
I don't know.
But it used to be that. Do you know, Ryan? it used to be like nobody had it, and I applied to like get it, and I don't know why they approved us because we didn't have that many. I mean, we only have.
They saw the potential. They were
I don't know. I guess
gotta give this guy video.
But the I think we only have like 30 something at this point. But
that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I feel good about it. We've taken a couple like hiatuses, like when we were remodeling here, like we were so busy and it was such a mess over there with so many people working at our old spot. We took a break. And yeah, obviously clients and the stuff that's making us money has to come first. So every once in a while there's been a little break there, but now we're just in the last 2 weeks we've done 3 or 4.
There you go.
But what's helped is that calendar, just sending people that calendar, like, yeah, book whenever it's convenient.
Yeah, Calendly's awesome. Yeah, love that app.
So that's been nice. It's helped with getting people booked as opposed to like back and forth. What works? What are we doing here?
Yep.
What kind of guests do you guys typically try to get on for yours?
So our goal is to get business owners or somebody at least that runs a business or who's somebody who's influential in the community. So really what the Center of Influence, that's something, I don't know. I don't know if you guys use that term or not, but like in banking, we use that for like bankers, lawyers, accountants, insurance agents, people who are your trusted advisors, right? So they're a center of influence for you. And so we just wanted to talk to business owners and find out like, who was their center of influence, who helped them get their business going.
Right. Gotcha.
And then also, how did they become a center of influence? Have they helped people? Have they trained up other people, in the community? So
yeah, it's almost like a social experiment too, where we know what a center of influence is from the banker's lens, like John just said, but it's an experiment to actually find out from their perspective, from the business owner's perspective, what a center of influence even is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think it's one thing, and it's usually not what we think of as a center of influence. Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's an organization, but it's kind of cool to ask that question and figure that out, talk about it a bit.
That's interesting. Yeah, Center of Influence.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good name, good concept.
Yeah, it's used a lot in banking, but most of the time you bring it up to people that aren't in this industry. I've never heard of that before. I could probably guess what it is.
Have you searched? Are there many other podcasts named the same thing?
Not when we first searched it. I think there might be one. It's not with the same concept that we're really going for, though. Yeah. There's not a lot of boring commercial lenders out there.
Surprisingly, there's several called Inside the Box. I mean, I guess I get it.
Yeah.
It's not really, obviously it's a play off of our actual name, but yeah, it's always nice when you have something that's a little easier to find. I didn't really search though. I just when we did it, I just was like, all right, we'll just play off of our name, Inside the Box.
Out of the Box was a kid's show, right?
It was.
He got amped up about that.
No, it was one of my.
He's like, oh yeah, I watched this.
It was one of my favorite shows as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
I don't remember the
I
concept.
thought it was
of the
like
show.
Bear in the big
about?
blue box.
No. So the only thing that I remember, and maybe you remember.
There's a song at the end of it.
Yeah. The song is fantastic.
Out of the box.
Oh shit, we need this song.
Yeah.
You have to buy the
gotta buy that
copyright,
song.
yeah.
But the coolest thing was at the very beginning, they would like crawl into a tunnel that looked like they were going to go into literally a cardboard box. And once when they got in,
you never told me about this.
when they got into the.
Oh man!
When they got into the box itself, it would cut to
crazy.
the scene, and it's this big office. You guys should do like a
parody of it.
Yeah.
See what the hell, man? I don't got this.
It's a great show.
No one's passing this knowledge along to me.
Well, maybe they're scheming something that I wasn't supposed to out them about.
Yeah, their colors are orange and black also. I'm just kidding.
Probably.
They're not.
Everyone thinks that's what we took it from.
Yeah. Well,
No, that's funny. Yeah, I'll have to
I'm gonna have
check
to
that
go
out.
watch that show now.
To do the parody. Well, that's kind of like our intro. It flies into the box and then it's like flying through space and stuff. And actually, I kind of want to change that to like flying through different things as the boxes come at you.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? When it goes into it, the boxes are like spinning and it's like space, but you keep going through more and more and more boxes until you get to the logo.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want like each box you go through to have a different scene as you come through it.
That'd be cool.
We just, Need to update it.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
I think I had an intern make that a while back, actually. So I was just kind of letting him. I gave him the idea that I wanted. I'm like, all right, as we go in, I just want you to be going through space in a bunch of boxes, and he did a pretty good job. But I want to get that updated. And then another buddy of mine suggested adding the music, which helped out a lot. Do you guys have any kind of intro or anything you tie to yours?
We do.
Yeah, my son got on GarageBand and made us about, 5 or 6 different ones that we could pick from. And then I got on, I don't know if it was Adobe or something, and made our logo. And
cool.
Yeah, Adobe or Canva, I think.
Yeah.
And then we had a coworker that we thought had a good radio voice, so we said, could you record our intro? And he did a great job.
Nice.
So yeah.
Incidentally, we kind of got a tagline that we never use.
We do.
He does the intro, and then at the end of it, he goes, "Let's talk." And we're like, "Oh man, we need to use that. Let's talk." And we have not at all. No. I think we're missing out on that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's good to have little things like that. Like I always say, welcome inside the box or whatever.
Yeah.
When Taylor was on here, she said, what did she say? She was like, she said something about being inside the box, like I was about to press her with a bunch of questions or something. I'm like, man, we'll just have a conversation. I'm gonna make you sweat here.
Yeah.
But what's been you said you got 6 of them filmed.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the most interesting person you've had? I felt like you had the best conversation with.
Well, we had somebody.
I think we have to say Kate Peters, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, did you have Kate on?
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. She did a great job.
She'll probably be the only one watching this, so that was smart.
Yeah, she we had lots of real questions about what her event entails. So she was a fun one to kind of pick her brain a little bit, because from the outside looking
There's a lot
in,
they're managing.
Yeah, exactly. Setting up a city for a weekend and some change it's not something you would really think.
So many things, man. Just an event in general. Like when we had our grand opening, like bathrooms, like trash, food. Where's the bands playing? When are we moving outside from inside? Like it was, you know what I mean? There's so many things to think about. How are we going to manage people walking around in here? Because we didn't want just like people in here by themselves. You know what I mean? So it was like, so many things to think about.
Well, and then we had the guy John mentioned from Florida. He's basically a professional podcaster.
Oh, really?
I mean,
he's like, what are you guys doing? This is
no, he gave us some good tips and things, but that one was probably the easiest episode we had, because he just kind of went for it. He already knew what he was going to say and did a really good job. And then we've had a good mix so far in the first 6 for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, all of them are different for sure.
The Florida guy was construction.
No, so he did. He's a multifamily real estate broker.
Oh, okay.
And so kind of a synergy between us and his
How'd
industry.
you get connected with him?
I started following a commercial real estate podcast, and he was on there.
Nice. Just reach out.
Yeah. I was already following him on LinkedIn, and when we had started our podcast, I just messaged him on LinkedIn, and he was like, "Yeah, sure. It's going to be a couple months because I'm really busy, but send me some dates." So I sent him the Calendly, and we got something set up. And he was very gracious, spent a lot of time with us, gave us, we talked off the recording quite a bit, and he was. He was primed, ready to go. He's got his own slogans and all this stuff. He was ready to go. But I think the conversation went really well.
Cool, that's neat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely the benefit about doing Zoom stuff is you can do anybody across the country.
Right.
I was trying to decide here how we would set that up, how I'd want to do that, because I feel like I would still want to sit here. I'd almost need like a TV like above the camera over here or something. You know what I mean? Where it felt like I was talking to the camera still, or maybe over here like I was talking to a guest. I couldn't really decide how I would want to do that.
Could you still call it inside the box?
Call it like
if you're not bringing them in the box.
Half box.
Have a separate show for your Zoom.
1 foot in there. 1 foot in the box.
There you go.
I guess 2 feet. I don't know. There's definitely an opportunity there because we even, with Silsa, we were talking about getting the speakers to do the podcast prior to the Silsa event to help promote it. But really the only way that works, because most of them are flying in, for the talk. Like the only way that works is to either me fly somewhere, which I'm not doing, so I don't make any money doing this, or them do it over Zoom, which most of them are receptive to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've never had any issues.
But I guess probably just need to try it, see how it goes. Probably be all right, especially if it's just two people. It shouldn't be too bad. Yeah. We just recently got set up to where we're doing these creative convos, and basically, like, I'll bring in like some of the team depending on what the project was. Like, we just did this video for field tiling, like on farms, and we'll bring in a couple of the team that worked on it, and we just have a conversation about it. We pull up the video, it plays on the thing. You know what I mean? It's like it's not really an inside the box podcast. We still put it out on that channel, but we just call it Creative Convo and just started numbering them separately. It's kind of like a series under it, I guess you could say. But it's kind of neat. It's fun. So it's a way, and we're going to try to keep them shorter, like around 30 minutes.
Would your target audience for that show be folks that are in your industry? Like, I think that'd be awesome to view from.
Probably those would probably be the ones that are most interested. I think it'll help with. I think even business. It's going to depend on the video. Like field tiling farmers would probably be like, "Oh, this is cool. Maybe I need to do that." So from there, it'd be good for us from that standpoint if it was something they wanted to do. But
I got my wheels turning on the financing side of things.
What they can watch us like filling in spreadsheets. This is how we underwrite your loan.
I highlight your tax return here.
Yeah.
Oh no, they lost money.
Not again.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
What if people started watching it though?
You're right.
Just a live stream of it on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
I'm filling out paperwork.
Yeah.
What's a typical day look like? What's a typical day look like?
A lot of spreadsheets. That was he was actually onto something there. Because the sales cycle is so long, a lot of times we're just meeting with referral sources and business owners. But when we've got a live request for financing that we're working on, you're in front of your computer reading tax returns, trying to understand the financial well-being of a company and the individuals that run it.
I think from a customer perspective, the most surprising part would be how much we need to know about you personally and your business outside of financials. So I've had people like, well, why are you getting so, why do you need to know about that kind of stuff? Well, when we underwrite something in the commercial world, it's different than like if you just go and get a mortgage for your house, right? You fill out the application, everything's on there, right? And then you got to have your pay stubs or whatever. With a commercial loan, we have to tell a story, not just to whoever might be approving it. Like if it's above our approval authority, that person needs to know who that is without ever meeting them. Or if it's large enough, it could be like a board of people that are approving a loan.
What do they do? Give you like an amount that's like, all right, anything above this?
Yeah, we have authority levels. Yeah. So it just goes up. The higher up in the bank you are, the higher the authority you have. Or it could be
Nick, why'd you approve this $5 million loan?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Or it could be an auditor that needs to know that story. And so you need to put that story, the more story that you put into we call it a write-up or a credit memo. It's basically the underwriting process. The easier it is for somebody to pick that up and know who the person is, what their background is, why they qualify for this. We don't really look at credit scores like, it's not as granular as a mortgage loan. We're looking at why does this make sense? Why would we give our owners money to this person to go start a business?
So you're usually seeing like business plans and stuff?
Yeah, business plans. We ask for resumes. I've asked for bios before.
Yep.
So the more information that we can get to create that story and, put that into the write-up, the better.
Mm-hmm. That's understandable. When I was trying to get a loan from this place, I talked to several banks, and all of them basically treated me like they didn't even really talk to me. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, this is how it works, and kind of brushed me off. It's super frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to not start with telling somebody whether or not they're plan is going to work.
Yeah.
Especially because
it wasn't
in that
even
first meeting.
Plan. Like, I mean, I had been in business.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was just like.
Well, that's even worse then.
And if they treated me with some respect, then they would have saw my financials and been like,
right.
Oh, yeah, we should probably get you know what I mean? Because those are all tip top.
Yeah, and that's why if you lead with some of the stuff John was talking about, you get to know that, you know, you can have them write a bio or you can sit down and have a cup of coffee with them.
Yeah.
And that's...
I don't know if it's based just off, like, my look, because obviously I don't, like, I'm very relaxed. You know, I'm usually wearing a New Box T-shirt. You know what I mean? I'm not, like, dressed like a professional
A lot more business owners nowadays look like you. So
well, that's what I think. I don't know if it's just, you know, and then most of them were, I guess, older gentlemen.
Sure.
And it's funny because after we got the building, you know, got in here and everything, like, they're all reaching out, wanting to go out to lunch and do this or that, and I'm just like, sure, I'll go out to lunch,
right?
Free lunch,
yeah, yeah.
But it was very frustrating, like and I just think about like me, like I knew I would figure out how to get around it, like I wasn't worried about it, but other people that maybe are similar to me that aren't quite as savvy, you know, like going in and feeling like that, like very discouraging, or could be. Well, I mean, it wasn't for me. I knew I'd figure it out, but you know, definitely like maybe somebody that doesn't have the confidence or the, you know, it's just.
Yeah, no, there's definitely an art to that, and some bankers are not willing to spend the time. You know, if you have somebody a very successful commercial banker who is, you know, overseeing a huge portfolio already and is only going to take top clients, then sometimes they make you feel like you're wasting their time. We try to, even though, you know, sometimes we feel like, you know, this isn't going anywhere, we try and still coach them up. I have a customer that I consider a very good customer of mine now that I told no 2 or 3 times before we said yes. And it took coaching in different areas. Hey, this is the kind of stuff you need to do. Here's, you know, the type of money that we need into a project like this. And here's what the bank, it was going behind the scenes a little bit. When I have to explain this to the owner of the bank, he's going to want to know, why are we doing this? Why does it make sense to do this loan? So that's what you need to tell me. You need to show me why this makes sense. And it could be just some extra research on their part or, you know, just the simple explanation of it at that point. So we don't try to say no. We try to say, if this is really what you want to do, here's how you get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting process. it was pain, you know, pain in the butt to go through, but it was because at first we looked at like SBA loan, you know, doing partial, maybe some of that and all this, and we didn't end up doing the SBA, although it was great interest rate. It was just like so much stuff that had to be provided for that.
It can't
that we were just in a we needed to move faster than that.
Right.
You know what I mean? We had great people we were working with on that possibility, and it is a great option for people. I definitely don't want people to think that the SBA loans are not, but we just needed to move faster. And fortunately, we had the funds to not have to go that route.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we just ended on I don't know what you would call it, more of a traditional for the building. And we got we got lucky as hell with this building. We got a super good price on it. So, I mean, just this little remodel, we got a ton of equity.
What year did you start the build-out process? And when was the purchase?
We bought it in 2020, right at the end of 2020, November.
So your rates
2020.
Much better back then, too.
Yeah,
so you got that
so
as well.
got it.
Yeah,
we got the remodel going before pricing of materials got too crazy, and we were done. So we got it November 2020. We were done and moved in about like November of 2021. Took about a year between closing, remodeling, moving in. Yeah, I think it was almost a year exactly, actually. So that was pretty cool. Long process. I was just having a talk with somebody yesterday in politics, and I was expressing frustration of like from a business owner perspective. Small businesses, man, politics, government, it is not friendly to small businesses. It's so frustrating. And one of those things was our situation wasn't too bad, but I know people that are doing build outs and stuff now and have waited months for permits. Like ours wasn't too bad. Ours moved fairly quickly, but there wasn't a lot of permitting needed. We didn't do a lot really in here. I was just basically explaining like I don't know how like some businesses would have done this because we were paying a mortgage and rent, at the same time. And they were very receptive to that and understood, and it was something they take into consideration with what they're running for.
Yeah, a lot of businesses can't handle that.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean, that's a
and
common
spending
struggle.
money on the freaking build out at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like so much.
Exactly.
It's scary, really. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah. And part of the, if we've got somebody that's in a similar boat and has a similar plan to finance a project like yours, it's sometimes we end up having to paint that picture and
Sure.
explain to them what that's going to look like. And that, I mean, I've had situations where people have changed their mind because, we really break down what the cost could be.
Realize it.
Yeah. And most of the time they still end up doing what they plan to do. It's just maybe their timeline gets moved back a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's part of the process. You really have to make sure they understand what they're getting into from the financing side of things, because the idea might be perfect.
How hard was it to like get used to that, like breaking that stuff down? When you got into commercial lending, like being able to understand, to give that feedback, to give, hey, do you realize you're going to be paying rent and a mortgage, right? You know what I mean? Just knowing about that stuff to talk to them about.
Yeah, you definitely,
hard to learn at all?
I would say for me it was, and you have to, the more at bats you have, the easier it is to have those conversations, because you go from, here's what I learned in all of my training to be a commercial banker, to here are the stories I have.
Real life situations.
Yeah. And, it helps. We're lucky that John and I are in an office where the amount of experience we have is pretty remarkable. I mean, we've got several people who have 20 plus years of experience, and being able to lean on them and get more stories from them. Yeah, because I can dig into my memory bank and find some pretty good stories to relay to customers, to explain to them what could or couldn't happen. But if
Seems
I
like
don't,
everything ends up costing more too.
Yeah. If I don't have that experience, I can lean on somebody in my office, which goes a long way. But I think the harder part for me was learning how to give people constructive criticism about their business from the seat that I was sitting in, because if it's hard to
without like offending them.
And you have to be very transparent, because my goal is to never have the situation happen to you where somebody walks out of my office feeling like I disrespected them, or their business. And sometimes that can be a delicate.
I feel like whenever I'm in a situation, I mean, not that exact situation, but something like where you're like tiptoeing, I usually just say like, look, I'm just going to be straightforward with you. I don't want you to take offense to this. I do the same thing.
Yeah. It's just easier that way.
Yeah. Just kind of say it right before it and let them know, like, don't take this wrong.
Right. And have your reasons to back it up before you say something like that. Goes, that's important too, but it's hard, but you have to be confident, and you have to know their industry, you have to know their business, you have to ask a ton of questions before you make those recommendations, but it's an art, like John said. Still learning it.
Did you train him, or how's that work? Because you have more experience.
Kind of.
I don't know how the training
not
works.
as a commercial banker, but when I was in retail, I'm getting trained by everybody in my office.
Gotcha.
A little bit, so we both have the same boss.
How's training work for that? Do they just have you like sit in on meetings and like?
Yeah, you start going on calls, and then, like John said, there are plenty of bankers out there who have portfolios that are large enough where they're so busy they need help with certain things. So a big part of the training is and they say, you know, I've got this X amount of $1 million deal that I need help on. Will you do the analysis for me? Will you take a look at the tax returns and the financial statements, read the bios, do all those things and put it into a write-up for me? And that's where and then they take it and they present it to the people that are approving their deals. That's where you learn the most.
Yeah.
And in some environments, you get to do it in front of a live audience. So you get loan committees. Those are fun. We used to have those at
nerve-wracking.
Yeah. The first time, I don't know about you, John, but the first time I had to pitch a deal to a board of directors that wasn't even mine for another lender was very, very nerve-wracking.
Was the other lender like there?
Yeah,
they just wanted you to do it?
Yeah.
Just see how you did.
Just to get practice. Yeah. And, you find out that sometimes they give you requests with some holes in it ahead of time to see how you handle it. Yeah.
That's cool.
But it's good. It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you learn by trial by fire.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I don't know if you can say this, but I'm going to ask you out of curiosity. What's the biggest commercial deal loan you've ever been a part of that you approved? Is this something you can say? You don't say it if you can.
I can say mine because it was public. I financed the solar project for the airport.
Oh, wow.
So they did a $6 million project out there. It's the biggest solar array on the CWLP grid. So,
cool. Is it out on the grounds of the airport?
They're still working on it right now. But yeah, it's oddly enough, it used to be soccer fields behind the airport, and Steve our boss acts like they were there yesterday, but I think it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I can't remember any soccer fields out there.
Classic.
I do know there's a lot of grass out there, so that seems like a good use of the space.
Right.
Yeah, there were soccer fields, and now they're putting solar panels there, and there's going to be some on some buildings there also. So it's behind the I forget the name now. It used to be Garrett Aviation. There's a company out there that retrofits jets and things like that, so it's back behind there.
Gotcha. Nice. $6 million.
Yeah. For me,
I need that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just anything comes through for me, just stamp that.
There you
and pass
go.
it on.
The largest one I worked on that got approved was probably in Indianapolis. There were some bigger deals that came through there. It wasn't that big, a couple of million. $2 million was the largest that I could think of. The largest one I've ever worked on, I'm working on currently.
Nice. Again, don't say if it's going to get you in trouble.
No.
I don't want anybody losing their job over a podcast question.
No. But it is fun. I mean, the amount of moving parts from our bread and butter $250,000, $500,000 deal that we see on a weekly, monthly basis to something upwards of $30, $40, $50 million it's wild how much longer those take, and it's
really all perspective. Somebody from a big bank in Chicago is going to look at our loans and laugh. You know what I mean? They're doing $100 million
loan,
pop all day long. And that might even be small.
Yeah.
Right.
So the fact
they might have 15 people working on it too. So
I was just up in Schaumburg at a couple buildings that someone just bought, and I don't know what they paid for them, but it's got to be over $100 million.
Yeah.
Between the two buildings. I mean, beautiful buildings.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, though, that guy might work as much on a $100 million loan as I work on a $150,000 loan.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much time.
Well, it's just area and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably, it's probably more of a thing that's, normal up there. More so where that's more normal.
Not a lot of $100 million buildings going up in Springfield.
Yeah, exactly. Needs to be more business down here.
Yeah,
but that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Any interesting stories from a commercial lending standpoint that you'd want to share or can share?
We get pretty wild.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I just didn't know some weird things that people have tried to again. I don't know what the rules are of stuff to talk about when it comes to this stuff, but I could imagine some funny things coming through. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
Where do you want to start here?
Yeah. So I can tell you one thing for sure. All of those
Code to Nick.
Please don't do that. All of the best stories that I have come through LinkedIn exclusively. So I'll get a message like, I have this project I need help financing, and
does it seem like spam, or is it?
No,
really?
no. Very, and usually the people are very nice, and you have to go into that mode and explain why your bank wouldn't be able to help them with the request that they have, but.
You cannot start a prostitution ring in Springfield. It's not legal. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't had that one yet, but I've had some ideas that have definitely been out there, and maybe they're just out there because it's not something that I'm familiar with. Maybe somebody would look at that and say our city needs this, but
right.
And also I haven't seen one yet in Springfield, so nothing crazy here.
Yeah. Well, we did have you brought that up as a joke, but we did have one of our coworkers get asked to finance a brothel in Nevada from somebody who was here.
In Nevada, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was before.
I have to ask about that when I get back to the office.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't know. I better come out and take a look at what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, we get some weird stuff from time to time. One of our favorite games is Town and Country. Our chief credit officer, he's right around my age. He's very risk adverse. And so, he thinks a lot of the loans that we're trying to do, he wants to immediately say no. This is I don't know. He's our age, but he's kind of like an old man. And so Nick and I would just come up with loans that we think he would just get mad about if we brought to him. Yeah. So for a while we were telling him that we were looking at financing farms on the metaverse. A peach farm on the metaverse.
Like, what are you talking?
Yeah, he's no, we're not doing any metaverse loans. No.
I'm gonna send in an application for one.
Yes, please do.
My metaverse peach farm.
Yeah. That he was really mad at me that day.
That's funny.
It was very funny.
That's good though. You guys got a pretty good culture over there.
We do.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. It's one that's changing a little bit, obviously, with us switching over to the new bank. But
just gotta get used to the.
Yeah, and some people unfortunately are moving on to different positions and things, but. The core group of our lenders at least are together, and we're all good friends, and we get along really well, and it helps a great deal. So not only like I said, we've got all that experience on our team, but the fact that we're all close, being able to get genuine feedback as a lender is very helpful to the borrowers. Our customers don't see a lot of that stuff. Obviously, you're not going to know that, 4 of us took a look at it, put our heads together, and came up with this great plan to make it better for you and for the bank. But
makes us look smart.
Yeah, but it happens a lot,
yeah.
and not every commercial. This is really the third commercial lending team that I've been on, and I can say, from talking to peers or from my own experience that. Not all of them are like this. So,
yeah, sometimes they're spread out between branches. You might have one at this branch, one at that branch, but ours are all in MacArthur. We're all on the same floor, and we had some credit guys in production. Our chief credit officer, and I would say for the most part, almost everybody has been very friendly. We joke around a lot. A lot of office pranks. You wouldn't think, a commercial loan officer. You probably expect suits and, real stuffy people. But I think our boss likes to stay in his office a little bit more just because you never know what's going to happen. But, lots of little pranks getting pulled around the office. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Gotta have fun while you're working,
Yeah.
That's what I always say. I'm like, we work hard, but we have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to take a picture of the ping pong table on my way out and tell the boss we need that. Yeah.
It's covered. It's definitely more of a table right now.
That's what I said when I walked in.
Yeah, we had our
classic ping pong table. It's just holding stuff right now.
We had our carpets cleaned. So actually Peerless, shout out to Peerless, they came on, they did a podcast, and they offered to they enjoyed it and offered to do carpet cleaning for us. So that was super nice.
They weren't looking around. You could use your carpets clean.
Well, it's pretty new. It's only been here a year, but right. I was like, and it's funny because I was like, it's probably a pretty good thing to do like once a year or something, just to try to keep things,
probably,
clean, and instead of waiting till 5 years and there's track marks up and down all the heavy traffic areas. So
deferred maintenance.
Yeah,
starts to show after a while.
Fun expenses.
Yeah.
So what else is happening? Any other announcements? Anything else you guys want to put out there? The merger. You guys are at Heartland.
Heartland Bank and Trust, formerly Town and Country Bank. It's exciting stuff. You see logos and stuff start changing here soon. Hopefully John and I will start rocking our Heartland quarter zips here once we finally get those. But you also covered RISE, which is another thing I wanted to make sure that I mentioned. It's a big deal, something I'm
You have to keep
really
an eye
excited
out
about.
for that, or shoot me a message or something when the event gets posted.
For sure.
Because I didn't know the last one was happening. I would have tried to stop by or had somebody stop by at least.
Yeah.
Check it out. Cool, man. Well, what's the best way for viewers to reach out and get a nice commercial loan going?
For me, it's LinkedIn. That's the easiest way. I mean, you can go to our website and find us there. But that's my primary platform that I use.
Do pretty good on there? Feel like it's good from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah. It's nice for that, and it's also nice for
that your primary social media choice?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also an easy way for people to get a hold of me if they don't have my cell phone number yet. I mean, I'm pretty liberal with giving out my cell phone number for the most part, but if for whatever reason somebody doesn't have it, if it hadn't been passed on by someone else, just look me up and send me a message.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Yeah, I get most of my loan requests through TikTok. I do a lot of dance videos on there, so that's been working really well, actually. I do a mean robot, so
there you go.
Yeah, no, I would say LinkedIn as far as just letting people know who I am and things like that. But obviously, the messaging app on there works really well. But I mean, people don't do this as much, but yeah, you can always stop into the MacArthur and Ash branch and ask for one of us, phone, email. So yeah,
we also try to get, like we said earlier, part of our approach is to be very approachable, and part of that is being out in the community, and we go to as many events as we have time to go to. So I think if somebody is a listener and does the same thing here in town, they'll see us eventually. So feel free to.
How about the podcast? Where can people find that at?
So we're on Spotify,
YouTube.
We're on YouTube and
Nice.
and we post everything to LinkedIn.
So everything. LinkedIn's our main platform for exposing people to the podcast. But yeah, you can definitely find us on LinkedIn, the Center of Influence podcast, YouTube, the Center of Influence pod. So
Perfect.
And reach out to us if you want to be on our podcast, because we'd love to have you on also.
Let's do it. Saturday.
Yeah, we're always looking for business owners to share their experiences with us.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, guys. Definitely anybody watching looking to get a commercial lending quote, reach out to these guys and check their podcast out.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.